So, thank you guys. We are going to commence now. And for reference, the meeting is being recorded so that we can replay for those that couldn't make it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Adetola, and I'll be your instructor for today. Hello. So, our theme for this week is called Developing a Bankable Business Plan. And this is brought to you by the Development Bank of Nigeria and Brand Locus Limited. We all understand the mandate of Development Bank of Nigeria to actually support and equip entrepreneurs like yourself and myself in any way possible. And Brand Locus also is dedicated to that cause. The QR code on the screen is just for our WhatsApp channel for you to follow and get regular updates on tips like this. So this, I'm just going to walk us through what to expect from the session and what exactly we are here to do. Today we're talking about business plan, and this boils down to a whole lot of encounters we, witnessed when dealing with SMEs. Writing or developing a well-structured and informative business plan has been a challenge for many SMEs. We've seen instances where people just go to chat GTP and copy and paste and all that. And at the same time, we know writing a well-structured professional business plan can be quite expensive if you're engaging a consultant, right? That's why we're organizing this session to actually let you understand what makes a great business plan, how to structure it, and how to communicate it effectively. We're talking about how can you stand and defend whatever you've written. Business plan is not just about funding. It's not just because you're writing this up, you're running this application, and they ask you to submit a business plan. That's when you need to run around to get a business plan. No, it's something that will actually help you to provide clarity, right, for your business, give you direction, and help in your decision-making process. So this session is going to be a bit practical, right? Because we're going to show you a lot of structural comparison that we recommend, talk about the layout and the components that should be in your business plan, give you the design tips, even showcase a template that we are going to share with you later, right? And of course, the ending part, which is we're going to have a short quiz, after which we'll be giving out a grant award to one person. All right. So if you're still with us, just use the emoji. So great, great, great. Thank you, guys. Yeah, great. So we're talking about structured business plan. What we do at Brand Locus, being a consulting firm as well, is to also look at what are the global standards in terms of writing a business plan and looking at the settings we have here in our own country. I mean, using Nigeria as our landscape. We compare two giant consulting companies. We're talking about McKinsey and KPMG. Sorry, the P is missing. McKinsey and KPMG. And these are two global giants with different unique structured business plan. And I'm going to explain that in detail shortly. And what we do is now see how we can merge these two to develop a more well-balanced, component or structure of your business plan that suits our own landscape. So I'm going to share a sheet with us now where we're going to walk through the differences between these two, talk a little bit about difference, and we're going to go down into the structures and what we recommend as the components for your business plan. Please confirm you can all see my screen. Okay. All right. So we are going to discuss what the primary focus of McKinsey and KPMG and talk a little bit about this. So McKinsey, for instance, right, is more focused on the why, right? Answering the big questions and creating a compelling narrative of change, value creation. So McKinsey don't really apply to, let me say, startups. It's more for like, giant companies that are trying to pivot or diversify or trying to make a decision about something. So the management needs to understand why that decision is being made. And of course, KPMG more focused on how, right? Ensuring a comprehensive and robust plan. KPMG is more of, writing a plan to people that are going to read it in a room where you will not be present. So it needs to carry more details, right, to defend whatever you're saying. So we're going to discuss a little bit on this. No two business plan can be the same, right? Even if, for instance, Sade and Shegun are in the same business of fashion, right? Sade can be into it because of the heritage, the cultural value of it, right? She wants to go into her dress, she wants to do a showcase, she wants to come up with, bring back some old styles. Why Shegun is into it for just for creativity. He's a funky type. He wants to, go with the trend. What's happening now? Their business plan, even though they are both into fashion, is going to be quite different. And that's why we don't recommend you going to just copy a business plan because they say, okay, this is the business plan for poultry business, and you just copy and paste. No, right? So you really need to understand why and how of your own business plan. Of course, like we said, this is not just a document to, help you when it comes to funding. It's to provide clarity and give you direction as well. It's a you sit down and help you really look into, the future of your business because you're going to think everything through end to end. So when writing your business plan, the primary focus, the first question is, are you focusing on the how or the why? Right? And in some instances, you need to actually combine the two, right? The why and the how, which is what we recommend. We're still going to get into that later. Now, the approach is top down. Like we said, a decision needs to be made, right? And the management are telling you, okay, this is why we want to make this decision, right? It's not really like, okay, we're seeking your approval. We need something from you. It's just for you to understand why we are making this decision, right? The bottom up is for KPMG, right? This guys, the plan, from the bottom up, right? You are seeking something from above, right? So you need, approval for this. And the big question is, are you standing from the top looking down, or you're down and building the bricks to get up, right? So where exactly is your business right now? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Where exactly is your business right now? Are you trying to convince your management, you have a board, that this decision you are making is the right decision, and that's the purpose of the business plan? Or you're trying to put the pieces of, getting your business started and running together, and you want everybody that's reading it to be able to understand that, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This is why you're doing it. This is how you want to do it. Do you have the authority and experience, the funding and knowledge expertise presents, right? If you're using the top-down approach, right, you're coming from a place of, I know what I want to do, right? I have the money to do it. This is why I want to do it. Or you're coming from the place of, I don't have the money to do this. This is my dream. This is the vision. And this is, what I want to do. You're trying to be convincing. Now, the audience for each of this company structure is quite different as well. McKinsey is typically for C-suite executive, like I said, the board of directors, the major investors, and all that. while KPMG is often geared towards lenders, regulators, internal management. So it requires a lot more details, right? So another question you need to ask yourself is, who are you communicating to? Who is going to be reading your business plan? Okay, are we still together? Great, great. So I'll be doing the check from time to time. Now, the key strength of each of the structure, right? One, which is McKinsey, is more, provides more clarity, is a little bit more persuasive, strategic, because you know what you want to do. You have the knowledge, you have the expertise. It's just like a doctor writing a business plan on how he wants to, take another approach to kidney surgery and all that. I'm just using that as an instance. It's coming from a place of authority. If you, as a tailor, is reading it, you expect, you know, you respect the authority, right? Rather than you're talking to someone, someone that you're in the same industry together. Now, the KPMG strength it's more thorough, detailed. There's a lot of risk management involved because, of course, it's a new business. You're considering a lot of angles here and there, and you need to also consider mitigations for this. The bonus contention is what matters most to your audience and your business at this stage, right? Is it the reason or the data, right? You need to consider, are you trying to provide reason to do what you're doing to go into the business you are, or you're trying to, present enough data to actually convince people that, yes, it's viable enough for me to do this, right? So are you more focused on the reason or the data? So another thing is, where did you discover the strength, right, for your business? Okay, we'll still get to talk about SWOT analysis and all that. So for your strengths, where did you discover the strength? Is it from data gathered online, from research and these which you haven't tested, it's not practical yet, or the strength is actually because you've been in the field, you've experienced this, you know what exactly is happening, you're there, right? It's quite different. Talking about the structure and the flow, I can say it's more narrative style and less rigid, while that of KPMG is more traditionally structured. We're going to go into the structure shortly. And the big question is, will you be in the room to defend it? It's a different than when you're narrating something to someone, you're standing in front of them, or they understand you, right? We're talking about your board of directors. They've been with you over the years. They understand out what is going on in the business. You don't need much convincing. You don't need much data. You only need, right, to narrate or give them that reason to what you're doing. The other approach, which is different, is you're not in the room. It's a new business. They don't even know you from anywhere. So you need to support your business plan with enough data, enough reasons, enough frameworks and all that, because you're not there to defend it. Now, when it comes to risk, every business has risk. But when it comes to McKinsey, it addresses key specific risk. And this is because you're not just running the business, you're running the business, but maybe you just want to pivot, or you're, um, considering a new product line and that. So the risks are more specific, right? Rather than running your business, you don't know where it's going to be in the next 5 years, or you don't even have a track record of how the past 5 years have been and all that. There are a lot of risks you can consider because you've not actually encountered most of this. So your business plan can be focused on a product or service line, just like I just explained, and it can be all about your lean entity, right? And I'm going to give your new entity. I'm going to give an instance. There's a company, Novasphere. Novasphere itself is a company that is into digital services. There's a business plan for it. There's a lot of risk that we consider, right? We build a technology solution and all that, and one of the solution is actually pay me. So at some point, we have to develop a business plan for pay me also. But the business plan for pay me is more strategic, is more lean, focused on that particular solution, not the general company. as a whole. I hope we are understanding that. Then the use of framework, right? McKinsey relies a lot on strategic framework like 7S, Portus 5. We're still going to talk about all that. And KPMG focus more on detailed financial modeling because that's where the real thing is. You need the money. You want people to understand your operational planning and a whole lot of all that. So, framework, most of the frameworks, like the 7S, for instance, is more for companies that are already, into the service. You understand what your economic impacts are and all that. So understanding the business model canvas and SWOT analysis is good, but you need to understand more of this framework, right? It helps to see beyond, the facts and the reasons, right? Talking about the 5 Ps and a whole lot of other things. You're going to consider how your business even influence, the planet, not just the people, right? We're going to talk a lot more about that. We have a whole tab for frameworks, and of course the financials. McKinsey is more focused on high-level investment because, of course, you have the millions already, all that, while the KPMG is more granular on, projections and assumptions because you're just going into a new market. Even if you've not fully tested, you don't have that much years of experience, right? So the big question to ask here is how much has your business ever handled, right? For instance, are you operating on 5 million per annum or 15 million per annum and all that? If you're operating on, let's say, 50 million per annum and, you're writing a business plan that the main objective is to actually consider an investment for maybe 5 million, right? Then, you have to take the McKinsey approach. But if you're running a business of 5 million, you don't make up to 10 million annually and, you're writing a business plan to seek, funding for, let's say, 15 or 20 million. You need to be more detailed. There need to be a lot of projections. There need to be a lot of assumptions. Are we still together? Okay. All right. All right. So moving into the components, right? Like I said earlier, the McKinsey style structure is different. The KPMG style, the structure is different. What we use at Brand Locus is actually a strategic merging of the two, right? As you can see, the opening, which you all know called the executive summary, when it comes to McKinsey, it's more of an elevator pitch, right? Because you don't need to go into more detail. But when it comes to the KPMG side, there's a lot more you need to consider. So for us, merging the two, we have the executive summary. And we're saying your executive summary should contain your business overview, the vision and the mission, right? Which is here, the key supporting arguments, which you will find here, and core recommendations and objective of the business plan, the financial highlights, which you'll find here, and the ask, right? You don't see the ask here, see it here. So why we're saying combining this is to help you have a more balanced business plan, right? That takes both angle of the how and the why, right? The reasoning and the data, right? And we have a template fully developed for you, which description on all this, which we'll still walk through. So I'm going to rush through this so that we can keep to time. Problem, right? The problem slash company. This is the McKinsey style. It's quite unique. We have the burning platform. Why you need to act now. Like I said, you're not in a rush. You're not just getting started with the business. You're just trying to make a decision. So you're trying to convince people, okay, this is why we need to act now. That's why you're talking about problem. But at the same time, on the KPMG style, it's a little bit different. You have to talk, you have to introduce the company, talk about the ownership, the location of the facility, which you won't find here. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things here, right, that are quite important that should also be here. And that's why we imagine, strategically what we believe should be a balanced business plan for you, a bankable business plan, like the theme of the program suggests. So in the content description, we're going to talk about the business concept and status, the legal structure, your asset and location, right? Your office, if you have machineries and equipment, these are part of all your assets that should be there because these are part of what, um, your investors or your funders will look into to say, okay, yeah, are you serious? And okay, you're into Gary processing. You have the processing machine. Then they know you're a serious company, right? This is how much it is worth, right? The asset. I'm just saying, you're able to evaluate that. And the history and the ownership of the company, right? How you came about the problem that you're solving, why, and the solution. So from just to take a quick guess, from this, you can see that writing your business plan is not just a thing of, one or two pages. And most times it's not really about, the number of pages, but how detailed it is. Have you put into consideration that you will not be in the room to defend most of these things? If there are questions, the person reviewing can only just assume. So what data, what reason have you put in there to make sure that, okay, yeah, they understand your business to the T? And that's the whole essence of this session. Also, the market analysis. There's a lot about, the market size, growth, trend, customer segments when it comes to McKinsey. But in KPMG style, you need to be more detailed. And that's why we propose that the market analysis should contain your industry overview, the market size and growth trend, right? Regulatory compliance. This is something that a lot of SMEs in Nigeria often miss out, right? You're into food processing, but you're not considering. There's no traces of you even considering NAFDAC in your business plan. It's an error, right? Target market and segmentation, right? You need to drill down into the demographics and the psychographics of your target audience, right? Demographics talking about, sex, gender, talking about the location, income. Then the psychographics talking about, how do they reason, how do they work, their likes and dislikes and all that. The competitive analysis, right? At least we recommend that you use at least two frameworks, right? Find ones that aligns with you personally. For instance, if you're into environmental, right? There are frameworks that you will use. It's not all the time you have to use SWOT. There are frameworks that you use that aligns you more with, environmental values. If you're into tech, there are frameworks that you will use, that, aligns more with the tech industry. Strategy. This, for instance, look at where the McKinsey is coming to talk about the vision and the mission here, right? That is because they expect that from the beginning, they're establishing maybe a different entity or a pivot from what you already know, and they're introducing it here, as part of the products, the solution, the strategy for the solution. While here, you're talking about your company as a whole, and you're discussing the mission and the vision upfront. All right. So for the solution strategy, we call it solution strategy. There's a product and the service description, the value proposition, use case, research and development, and also operations. How do you plan to manage or operate your company? Right? There needs to be the organizational chart, right? Structure, right? Who is the head, right? I've seen business plan where people just come up. I'm saying this because you need to understand the level of details you need to go into when writing your business plan. It's not enough to say there will be a CXO and this will be the function, right? If you're in business for more than a year, you need to be able to say, Mr. Adebowale Sampson is, the CXO. This is the profile. All that is still in the template. I'll walk you through later. There needs to be a standard operation procedure, right? How do you intend to, govern your hiring and firing process and all that? The roadmap, milestones, and KPI. What are you measuring to actually consider success? Then we have the marketing and the sales strategy. We have the go-to-market strategy and highlight. We have the detailed marketing plan. We consider the 4 Ps, which is the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. We have the sales pipeline, right? How do you move, went from point A to point B, from interest or awareness of your product to actually them paying for your service? Of course, CRM strategy. How do you intend to keep the relationship between you and maybe your suppliers, your customers, and all that? All that needs to reflect in your business plan. Now, financial plan and projection. There needs to be a financial history, right? Financial assumption, break-even analysis, funding request, and a clear use of fund, right? If your business plan is methodically geared towards raising funds, there need to be a specific of, okay, this is how much you're looking for, and this is how you're going to utilize that fund. And of course, risk assessment and mitigation. Every business comes with a risk. Every idea comes with a risk. So you need to have a comprehensive risk identification, the detailed risk mitigation plan. How do you plan to overcome them? And the contingencies. What are your plan B, right? Or C and D, depending. Of course, appendix. These are documents that, are relevant to your business plans, but, might not necessarily sit into the main structure, right? So we call them the closing or the appendix. You have the registration document, if you have any licenses, product images, research data, where you're getting your sources from. If you're quoting some sources like, okay, 3 billion Nigerian youths are unemployed, what's your source, right? If you have a screenshot of that, this is where you put them. And CVs of the key persons, at least 3, right? Then the contact details and a call to action. It's not enough to just put your contact details in. You also need to specify, okay, what action do you want the reader to take? The template covers a whole lot. Are we still together? Okay. Okay, great. So briefly, like I mentioned earlier, this sheet is going to be accessible to you, right? Especially for those of you that are in this session today, so that you can, go through it to refresh your memory. So we have the 7S of McKinsey, the abbreviation, of course, 7S. The purpose, what it does in your business plan, is to use an organization and management or operational plan to show structural readiness and coherence. Like I said, show structural readiness. It means there's something going on, but you're considering the organization or the management to go into another operation. So how ready are you to actually venture into that? So what this sheet does is to give you the framework, the abbreviations, the purpose, how it's being used in your business plan, and of course there's a link here to actually help that you can go to read more about it, because each of these, it's something that should be a section on its own, right? You can sit down and discuss SWOT analysis. A lot of people would think SWOT analysis just ends at strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. No, right? Do you understand that you actually need to build a matrix? You actually need to assign figure, you need to assign ratio, and you need to do calculation, depending on how deep you go into this, right? All of this analysis, the PESTEL, right? These are great frameworks that you need to be familiar with, and it's not compulsory you know everything. Just pick, that's why you put the use here and the purpose. By the time you read the purpose and the use, you decide, okay, for my industry, for what I'm doing, I think this applies better to me, and you read about it and learn how to use it in your business plan. So we would like to take comments. Just put something in your chat. How is it going so far? Before we switch to the next session. So, you can just in the comments, if there's anything of interest you find interesting or something new that you've learned, just put it in there, and you can use the Q&As for to ask your questions. So we'll continue in the next, we'll just do that for the next 2 to 5 minutes, and we'll go on to discuss the design tips, right? Best tips when developing your business plan. And after that, we'll go into the template showcase. And after the template showcase, we're going to another quick chit chat, questions, comments, and we'll go into the quiz session. So for those raising up their hand, you can just choose the QA to ask your questions. So someone is asking that as a sole proprietorship, is it required to add your employee's CV to make up the three CVs at least, or just for the owner? So yes, you can add your employee CV. So far, they have a role in the organization, right? Maybe you are the CEO, you have a manager, there's your employee, you have another person that is maybe that's handling the operations. Yes, you can include their CV. So another person is saying, what's the difference between SWOT analysis and risk analysis? So SWOT analysis is, let me say, an established framework, right, that also helps you consider areas of risk. But when it comes to risk analysis, it's a quite different concept entirely. Sorry. So someone is saying between McKinsey and KPMG, which one is best for medium businesses? So depends, I'm going to say depends on what you consider medium, right? Medium in the sense of, okay, how many years of operation, how many experience level and all that, right? And that is the reason why we propose a more standard, framework that balance the two. So another person is saying, Perpetua, saying, thank you for this session. Can the McKinsey and KPMG model be used in a single business plan? Yes, the business plan template we develop for you combines, these two structures. All right, so we move on to we'll move on to we'll take more questions later, but we'll move on to uh, developing a bankable business plan, the design tips. When you're designing your business plan, right, presentation matters. Most of us just go ahead and put it in black and white. Like I said, it's you know it, for some business plan that I've happened to review, it shows you know the level of enthusiasm and the zeal you want to put into your business, right? If you just go into ChatGTP, copy and paste, or just that's not enough. Like I said, you won't be in the room to defend it. Presentation matters. People that are going through it, let them feel that energy from reading your business plan, right? So, design tips. It needs to be clean, readable, with readable fonts and proper spacing. Incorporate visuals. Use a lot of charts, infographic, market trends to charts and all that. Avoid copy and paste as much as possible. It doesn't help. It needs to be unique to you alone. Like I said, two people can be the same business in the same area, in the same location, and have two completely different plans. Your vision is yours and yours alone, and that's what your business plan should communicate. Do not use jargon you don't understand. Highlight key figures, right, and milestones. Definitely use brand locus templates as a guide. That's why we came up with a template at least to serve as a guide. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a while and share the screen for the template. All right, can we all see my screen? Okay, great, great. All right. We're still going to share this template with you guys as well. So imagine this is your business plan, right? You have your logo here. You have an image, right, that captures the attention of, showcase the product or service that you offer. You have your company name here, and of course, it's your business plan, and maybe a sweet tagline, right? Saving the future, dancing in the rain, whatever your tagline is, right? Down here, presented to, right? Who do you intend to be presenting it to? It tells the person that, okay, this particular business plan is written for their consideration. Presented by, of course, yourself. And down here, you can have your uh, address, phone number, email, contact details, and of course, the date. All right. And once you save your business plan with a date, one thing I'm going to advise, once you save it with a date, make sure that next time you are writing another one or updating it, don't replace that same one. Save the other one with a different date. Because over time, you might need to sit down and look at what has changed in your business plan over the years. Right? Of course, table of contents. Using a recommended framework, and I have all the items here. You just need to change the numbers, the pages that they are, right? And you can hyperlink this to actually direct people to a particular page. You don't need people to be running here and there or to go through your business plan. You can hyperlink it. They click on this, it takes them to a particular page they are interested in. They don't need to find it. It makes it easier. It's cleaner. Now, the executive summary section. All right. The overall goal of this section is to make the important section of is the most important section of your business plan. It has to be short, powerful, have the overview of the entire document, but you have to write this section last after you've completed everything else, right? But it has to come first in your business plan. It is what should come first, but it is what you have to write last. And using the structure we present, you need to have, the overview here, right? There are description here to guide you. In 2 or 3 sentences, what is your business? What industry are you in? And what core problems do you solve? How is it constituted? Talking about the history, the ownership, like we mentioned earlier. And of course, the vision and the mission here. The mission states the what and the how, and the vision states the why. Why are you into what you're doing? There's a guide here too. So we intentionally left, some spaces here just to, help you understand how much volume of content you need to put in. For here, this can accommodate at least, 2 to 3 sentences here. And here, the key supporting argument, briefly summarize the 3 to 5 most compelling points from the plan, right? What are the 3 most compelling points of your plan? Why is your business set up for success, right? Is it a massive untapped market, a proprietary technology, something that no one has ever thought of before, but, just woke up one day and discover it, or you were just in your bathroom and it came to you. A world-class team that you have, maybe you have the best, team ever. You have this guy from here, you have this guy that's into this, and you say, okay, 3 or 4 of you coming together can just change the world. That's your strong point. This is where you should communicate it. Core recommendation, right? This is where you're talking about, the purpose of the business plan itself. Strategically, how are you seeking funding, board approval for a new strategy, or is it an internal planning? What is the purpose of that particular business plan? Main purpose. Financial highlights. This is where you're talking about, okay, give a snapshot, right? There's still a section where you discuss financial details. Just give a snapshot of the most important, the projections, the year, your profit margin, and that. Then they ask, right? This is how much we are looking for. We are looking for 15 million to finalize product development and launch our go-to-market strategy. Gaskia. Company description. The overall goal of this section is to provide a clear overview of who you are, your legal standing, and the story behind your business. This is where you're going to talk about the business concept and status, what your business does in detail, right? Are you a startup, a new company, an existing business that is expanding? This is where you really go down to talk about your business, talk about the legal structure. Is it registered as a sole proprietorship or whatsoever? Then briefly mention, right, why you're registering it as that, right? Are you registering as a limited now? You're planning, or as a private now? You're planning to go public later? Just something about the structure. And we're putting this in bracket because this sections in this bracket doesn't really mean you have to put it as an heading. It's just something that flows with, the business concept status itself. But it's something you should consider including. Then the assets and location, right? The trademark, the software, what is your brand name, the machineries, the equipment you have, your location, all this is where it should be. So history and ownership, this is where you tell us, the problem you're solving and why. Maybe one day you woke up and you realize you're always waking up late, so you design a technology, the wristwatch that, just shock you when you wake up, when you don't wake up by 4:30 or something. Just something. your own story, how the problem has, impact you or lead to the solution. It could not be personal. It could be something that you just observe, right? You realize in your community there are a lot of malnourished children and this and that. That's where it came about. Market analysis. The overall goal of this section is to prove that you have a deep understanding of your industry, your customer, and competitors, right? I remember some years ago, one of my mentors used to tell me that business is like a battlefield. You need to know three things. You need to know yourself, you need to understand the battlefield, and you need to know your opponent, right? Never go to war without knowing any of these three. And that's like business as well. You need to know your customer and the market you serve. You need to know your competitors, and you need to understand your own unique um, value proposition or unique competitive advantage. And this is where you actually communicate that. Talk about your industry. How well do you understand the industry you're operating in? You're in fashion, but you don't know who are the top 5 in your industry. No, you need to understand the trends, right? The size of the market, the trends. This is where you talk about possibilities, And if we're putting this graph here just to make you understand that, okay, yeah, like I mentioned, you need to consider a whole lot of visuals. So you might need to put charts and all that in here. Regulatory and compliance, right? Like I mentioned earlier, what laws, regulations, or license affect your business? What do you need to consider as an IT company and you're not considering data privacy, you're not considering what's it called, cookie policies and all that, you're not ready. Target market and segmentation, right? Looking at age, in terms of demographics, income, location, education level, and all that, and psychography, lifestyle, the values, their interests, their pain points, and all that. Competitive analysis, and what makes, you're looking at the market and you're saying, these are my top 4 competitors, and this is what they are doing, or this is what they are doing well, that is pushing them forward. This is what they are not doing well, right? That is also pushing them forward or backward. And this is what we are doing that we believe could make us do better. And this is where you also introduce some of the framework, right? There's still talk about SWOT and all that. This is just give you an example of what it should look like graphically. Then, lastly, your unique competitive advantage. What are you banking on? Since there are a lot of great solutions out there, a lot of competitors doing way better, why do you think you should actually still go in there? What can you do better? What will make you stand out? Before I proceed, you can see that there's no way you can put all this intention into writing your business plan, and the person going through your business plan will not understand that you mean business. Solution strategy. The overall goal of this section is to explain your product or service. We're using product or service here because some of you might be into service, some of you might be into product, some of you might even be into infrastructure. This is where you narrow down to that particular service. Talk about your product or service description. What are you selling? You describe its features, the benefits to your customer, then value proposition, right? Why should your customers buy from you? Why should they even consider your product? We narrow down on that, and we have use case and life cycle analysis, right? For instance, you say maybe you're into you sell razor blade, and you're saying, okay, the life cycle of you need to understand the life cycle of the product from production to distribution to the use to maybe you have to consider recycling and all that, and how at every point of this your target audience interacts with this product. Then, of course, research and development. If it's a new product or maybe a patent or intellectual property kind of a thing. You need to consider from here, then what next, right? If you're into food production, you're producing, you're using, maybe you're only leveraging on one particular value chain. You're making fufu from cassava, right? You might have the vision to expand. Not everybody. If you don't have it, you don't need to push yourself. But if you do, that's okay. From us, just doing fufu now, we want to do it such that we can also be doing cassava rice, right? We're even doing research on still that same fufu to see how we can best come up with the best possible fufu. Maybe we want to add fortify it, maybe with vitamins and all that and all that. This is where you're talking about it. It shows the reader that we're even thinking beyond the current solution. Yeah, operational management and operations and management. The overall goal of this section is to show that you have the right team and the right people, the right processes in place to execute your plan effectively. I always tell my mentees, business is about people, right? At every point of business, it's always about people. Your customers, their people, your distributors, your partners, your funders, and the people that will be working with you. Business is all about people. Having the right team and being able to show it in your business plan that you have people that can take that vision, not just from an idea into reality, goes a long way. And that's the essence of it. It's not enough for it to be just be only you there, but when the person reading your business plan or reviewing it, look at the profile of the people, the structure you've laid down, just like this, putting this, the structure you've laid down, just understand that, okay, this is how, information flows within the organization. This is how decision making flows within the organization. And of course, just using this as an example, your management team profile, just a quick one, about 2 or 3 is enough, right? The key people, right? Okay, this is Charles Adetola, is the CEO. This is what it does and the company. This is how it does it. What are his achievement? And the fun fact about just something that gives the reviewer that confidence that yes, you have people that can drive the vision and the mission you stated earlier. Yeah, then here we're talking about standard operating procedure. It's not enough to have an idea. Like I said, business is about people. How do you intend to work or regulate those people working with you, right? One key important area is, okay, how do you hire, right? What are your procedures for that? And another one is, okay, what are your procedures for communication, right? For internal communication, what are your standard operating procedure like? From your manager to you, or from the manager to maybe the secretary, what are the procedures you put in place for communication to go around this? And from your company to external bodies, partners and all that, what are the procedures you put in place, right? You need to consider that communication, hiring, management, all other angles that affect your business. So it's not just something that should be, you're not a lawyer, except you are. You might not be able to draft this in legal terms and say, okay, this is a comprehensive, because you need to have separate documents, a more separate comprehensive document for each of these operations. But here, what you're doing in your business plan is to give an overview to show the reviewer that you understand what you're doing and you're putting in measures. This is what you expect. This is the standard you expect. You're putting in measures to ensure that everything runs smoothly. Without this, it's just that, okay, you just want to run the business. You have no process for hiring. You have no process for your daily operations. You have no process for this, which is wrong. Your roadmap and the KPIs, right? You need to be able to show, okay, we started in 2020, in 2022, we're able to do this, register, get our first biz, got this license. In 2023, we increase our staff numbers to these. Then we got our office, and all that should be in your business plan. And of course, milestones. What are the major goal posts that you consider important to you, right? It could be maybe For some people, it could be maybe getting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube as an important milestone, because with 1,000 subscribers, it means you can go run YouTube live at any point in time. KPIs, what are the key performance indicators, right? What metrics do you track to measure success? Customer acquisition cost, monthly revenue, whatever. What matters to you? What will you measure to say, yes, we are growing, we are succeeding? Marketing and sales strategy. The overall goal of this session is to detail your plan for reaching your target market, converting them into customers, and retaining them. I'm going to repeat that. Reaching your target market, converting them into customers, and retaining them. Those are three key things to put in mind. So here, the section, you start with the go-to-market strategy. This is your plan to actually enter the market. Your marketing plan, right? Talking about your products. This is how your product is going to enter the market. The price, this is why you're considering this price, because maybe your competitor is selling at this price or your cost of production is at this price. Should be the reason, the rationale behind your pricing and expected profit and all that. Then the place, right? Where are people going to be buying your product? Promotion, how will you communicate with your target market? Social media, content, emails, and all that. Then your sales pipeline. You need to have a structured plan to guide people from their first contact with your company or with your product, right? To them actually buying and becoming a loyal customer that can even bring you more referrals. So we all know the AIDA principle, right? Which is attention, interest, decision, and action, right? Here it can also be communicated as awareness, consideration, decision, and purchase. Because AIDA, A is for awareness, the D is for decision, to make a decision to buy. No, I is for interest, because it's when you have interest, you are considering. Then the D for decision, just like you hear, then the purchase is the action. So in some cases, the action might not be purchase, right? It might be subscription. Maybe you want them to just subscribe or that. So you need to have that planned out, right? At what point, where are they going to engage your business? Maybe the first area where you might want to create awareness, maybe is a billboard at your street. Maybe just down the street, you have a small billboard there. They have the awareness. Now, they took the number from the billboard, chat you up, right, to ask about the product they're considering. Now, they've decided they want to buy, right, but they are still considering, okay, why should I buy this and not this other one, right? They need to make a decision why they should buy that. It all depends on you, the strategy at that point. And of course, the last one, which is purchase. And your CRM, right, customer relationship manager, how do you intend to keep your communication with your customers? Via email, there are a lot of CRM tools like Zoho, Active Campaign. One of the easiest and cheapest one you can find is MailChimp as well. But even without that, if you don't want to go through the technical stress of all that, your Gmail, your Google Drive, contacts, these are things, but it can be as simple as that, but you need to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm using for my CRM. WhatsApp, backed up on your Google Drive and all that. Yeah. Financial plan and projection. The overall goal here is to present a realistic, well-researched financial forecast for your business. This section is critical for investors. Please read the overall goal here when you're using the business plan. I think it's just, it's a bit punchy on what exactly you should do here. Realistic, well-researched financial forecast, right? So this should contain your financial history. If you're an existing business, include your historical income statements, or balance sheets, or even statement of account if possible, your cash flow for maybe the last 1 or 2 years. This one are easy to come by in the cash flow or the balance sheet. Yeah, you might think, okay, this is quite a lot, but it also goes a long way in, reviewing, rating or grading your business plan. Financial assumption, right? After you've done all these and you're saying, okay, for the next phase, right, before we go into our projection for the next 3 to 5 years, right, this is what we are assuming, right? We are assuming that, okay, there will be a 5% increase in our customers every month. Let me put it in numbers. We are assuming that, okay, every month we'll have 10 new customers. And you're saying maybe you're selling a product for 100,000. 10 new customers means 1 million Naira. So all that assumptions you're doing, you're assuming that, okay, maybe you can even go as far as, okay, assuming that for you to get your product from point A to point B, you're assuming that for the next 3 to 5 years, you're assuming that the cost of transportation, fuel price will not increase, right? Put that in your assumption. Because these are the questions that might come back to haunt you when the funder is asking you, okay, this is what you're saying your projection will be. What if fuel price increase by 50% or 100% after 1 year? Does it mean your business will crumble? So, but detailing that in your assumptions, kills that need to actually, probe further on why your figures are like that. Then we have the 3 to 5 years financial projection. This is where you're going to say, okay, this is my income statement. Like I said, it's pro forma, it's projected. This is what I expect my income statement to be for the next 3 to 5 years. The balance sheet is where you do a whole lot of that. Break-even analysis, that's if you've not broken even already. Calculate and state the point at which your total revenue equals your total cost to show when your business will start being profitable. Because we want to see, okay, at this point, after a year, if I invest 3 million, after a year, I should make 3.2 or 3.02 million Naira. That's when you break that particular month, that particular period, when you say, okay, you've broken even. And anytime from that beyond, you are now making profits. Funding request and clear use of funds. This is where you're stating, okay, this is how much I'm asking, and this is exactly what I'm going to use it for. For instance, okay, 5 million for marketing, I'm needing 15 million, 5 million for marketing, 7 million for new hires, 3 million for equipment, and these are the equipment. And if I even provide quotation, right? Maybe you price the equipment, go to what's it called? Alibaba. You see some of these, you see quotation, you get quotations from the suppliers, put it there. These are evidence that, okay, yeah, you've actually done your research, you know exactly what you're doing. It's not just you copying and pasting figures from wherever. And this is just a sample design. Are we still together? Okay. Just want to be sure we are not stepping. We soon wrap up. Yeah, okay, good. Okay. So the next section is risk assessment and mitigation. The overall goal of this section is to show investors and stakeholders that you have realistically considered potential challenges and have a plan to deal with them. There's no business that doesn't have a risk. No, none at all. This particular session we are holding has a risk. What if my Wi-Fi goes off, right? What if the system just decides to just shut down for no reason, technical issues, right? There's no business that doesn't have a risk. So what are the risks that you thought of, right? First, you list them here, and you rank them. For instance, that's why I put this here and here. We have the market risk, right? You list all possible things you consider a risk to your market. Here you have the operational risk. List all possible things you consider a risk to your operations, financial risk, you list all that here. And here, this is where you now go into the detailed risk mitigation plan. Say, okay, we now take all the risk one by one. For this risk, this is the mitigation strategy. If, for instance, network, if Airtel fail me, I'll switch to MTN. That's your mitigation plan. If the device laptop will just miraculously come up with a fault and goes up, I'll switch to another laptop or my mobile phone. Those are, your check and balances. And of course, contingencies. This is where you now say, okay, what if all, or what if this do not work? Then I have plan B. Okay, if the internet is messing up or the network, maybe my contingency will be, we reschedule the session for another time. All right. This is where it all comes together. And the last but not the least, appendix. The overall goal here is to provide supporting documents and evidence that can back up your claim made in the business plan. So starting with the business plan registration document, your CAC, your SMIDAN, your TIN, your NAFDAC, whatever, just attach. Yeah, because in the session, in the main product session, you might not be able to put in all the images or the process of developing your product. But at the end, here is where you can do that. Research data, I mentioned that earlier, maybe screenshot of your sources, your links, and all that. Have them all there. The CVs of the key personnel, invoices and quotations, and the contact details with CTA, clear to action. Like I said, provide your business name, address, phone number, and email, right? And be sure to communicate the action you want people to take, right? Such as, we look forward to discussing this opportunity with you further, right? Or call us if you have a, just be specific about what action you want people to take after reading your business plan. And when it comes to business plan, templates, I think this is quite, how will I put it? This is what we recommend, and I believe this is one of the best structures and templates you can ever have out there. And there's no way you will use this following the instructions we've given and the guide you've given that your business plan will not rank or grade high compared to other SMEs or entrepreneurs that you are competing with. This is balanced structures, capture a whole lot of angle of your business. Tell the reviewer that you understand your business to the T. So I'm going to stop sharing for a while now, and we'll proceed to look at more questions. So we'll use the next 3 minutes to take more questions before we go into the quiz session. All right. Yeah, thank you. This is helpful. All right, just 3 minutes more and we'll go into the quiz section. Yeah, someone is asking, can we have this template? The template is made just for you. The template and the sheet I'm going to share that with you guys later, so that you can go through the framework, learn more about the best framework that suits your business, look at the structure again, and see how you can adapt the template to the business. Someone is asking, is all details in the template necessary for your business? The simple answer is depends on your business, depends on you, right? And depends, like I said, it depends on the level you are in the business. If you feel, for instance, if you don't have track record of your financial statements and all that, then you make it clear there. What you're only working on is assumptions and projections. But you can't say you've been in business, you've been operating a business for a year or two and not be able to provide something that sounds more like a financial uh, statement of what you're doing. So someone is saying, thank you very much, sir. I have a question. When you talked about detailing marketing plan as a startup, as a startup, writing business plan for suppliers that I don't have yet, do I make research about them and meet up with them to get details and build up my marketing plan? Of course. Of course. You need to do your research, or else you're going to run into a lot of, assumptions, a lot of, avoidable risk. So someone is saying, please, is there a strict documents, minimum or maximum size for the business plan? The answer is no. Would this template be made available to participants? Yes. Thank you for the wonderful insight. Can we please get this lecture material? Yes, you will. On the ask page, can the budget be inserted? That's question one. For a business that doesn't have any team yet, how do I structure my team on my business plan? Yeah, for a business that doesn't have team, they probably in your SOP, right, which is part of the organization and operation section as well. You need to detail how you're going to approach these people, right? People that you don't have on your team, who are the people that you need on your team, and how are you going to get them? So another person is saying that most investors ask for the impact of your business on the people and environment. Where in the business plan can this be inserted, right? This can come in your market solution, and it can come in your competitive analysis as well, where you're defending your business that, okay, it's more reasonable, your business is more viable for, it's more better than this other company because you are also considering the environment and all that and all that. It can be your solution as well, where you're talking about, these are the goals or the values of your own particular solution. Pastor, thank you very much, sir. Let me, like me, that you have my company account. I'm using my personal account for transaction. How do I do with financial record? Well, you need to do it either manually, right? For now, and I don't think there's anything restricting you from opening a business account. Actually, it's quite easy. And if you need help with that, we can make some recommendations. There are a lot of banks. It's just easy. Your CAC, your TIN, not all companies, all banks requires Kumul, right? It's quite easy. Just walk into a bank and ask them you want to open a business account. All right, so we are going to go into the quiz session now. Right. So we're giving out a mini grant of 100,000 naira, right? Listen to the instruction. I'll share the link in the chat box when it's time to start. It's going to take 5 minutes for the quiz. You cannot take you can only take the quiz once, just once. You can only take the quiz once. And you have to listen to the instruction before you start. You have to use an email that is in our database. If we don't have you on our database, the reason we are doing this is because you might use one email now and see that, okay, you scored this, then go and use another email. And no, you are doing it once. Use the email that we have in our database so that we can check that, okay, are you truly from us? Then the winner will be announced next week, considering time. We'll look at everything. Then tied outcome, right? The current point is over 80. If there's any issue of tied outcomes, then there are two questions, right, in the quiz that are for you to impute whatever you want, right? First, we evaluate based on whatever you are. And I'm going to give you an instance. Ask you, what does the business plan mean to you? The answer will not be the same for everybody. So we are going to rate your answer based on that. Then in case there are ties, then we take the ties to the next round of 20 points. This live session is going to be something we are hosting every week. So next week we announce the winner. And right now, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you're ready, let me see the thumbs up. Okay. All right. So it's in the chat and it's pinned to the top. Right? Once you start, right, you have just 5 minutes to complete the quiz. Once you start, there's a timer, or else it will log you out after 5 minutes. So don't think you have time to quickly check and go and find the answer from Nasarawa. Click start your quiz, and we wish you best of luck. So okay, I can see some people have started. Some people have started. So if the form is saying registration is temporarily unavailable, let us know. It might be because we have more than, quite a number of people accessing it at the same time. So just wait. No matter who is accessing it, the person cannot spend more than 5 minutes. So just take your time, go through it. Um, In, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes, we're going to wrap up the session and we'll compile the scores. But the link is active. Please copy it and paste somewhere. I'm going to paste it again, right? If there are too many people on it at the same time, it might. Okay, it said it's showing an error. Let me see. Okay, same registration. All right, so this is what we are going to do. We might have to do this manually. Once it's 5:30, right? I'm going to, oh, okay. Uh, so let's just stick to that. Just take time. Let some people finish, then you'll be able to do again. Because we have quite a number of people in progress currently. So just wait. If it's not going, we leave it open for the whole day, right? When some people are done, you can go. But the thing is, even those there now, they can't spend more than 5 minutes. It will lock them out with the another. So just take your time. So I think there's a maximum number of seats that you can take at a particular time. Okay, someone is suggesting that you close capture and all that. All right, so I'm going to go on mute. Take your time, but we'll still be on the call for the next maybe 10, 15 minutes before we end the session, but we'll still be here. Some, I think some people have completed it, so once some people are done, more people can go in. Wish you guys best of luck. So by 5:45, maybe I'll be back to just give a closing remark. Okay, so since we're having a lot of people complaining of not being able to access the link, what we are going to do is once it's once it's 5:39, right? We are going to drop the what's it called? The form link on Google Forms. We're going to drop it here. And once it's 5:59 and 5:39 rather, and once it's exactly 5:45, which is 6 minutes, we are going to stop the form from taking responses. I think with that, everybody can have access, but it means you might not be able to submit if you don't finish on time. Are we all okay with that? Let's see the thumbs up. Okay, good. Okay, so 5:38, and it's tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Once it's exactly 5:39, you get the link, and once it's exactly 5:45. Okay, link has been dropped. It's pinned. It's in the chat. And once it's exactly 5:45, use the new one pinned now. The new one that we just pinned now. 5:45 will stop the link from taking responses. Best of luck. So 5 minutes more. Four minutes more. 4 minutes more. Three minutes more. 3 minutes more. 2 minutes more. 2 minutes more. One minute more. 1 minute, but less than a minute. It's going off once it's exactly 5:45. All right, and that will be the end of it now. Okay, all right. Congratulations to those that were able to submit. We have about 30 something responses so far. We analyze and share the winner next week. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. And thank you for joining in. Have a great day. We wish you best of luck. Wish you success. And whatever you do, we want you to know that Development Bank of Nigeria and Brand Locus Limited, we are rooting for you. We are counting on you. Right? Have a great day.